Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the bold analysis. We have a beautiful day, the 20th of July. And the report that we have received is after 2 years debacle with judiciary, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has appointed the 7 judges that were pending. Now, let me just give you a backgrounder on what exactly had happened. The issue about these 7 judges started way back in 2020 when Maraga was still the Chief Justice of the Judiciary. And after JSC, because according to the law, JSC recommend names to the President, then it is the President that will appoint those names, that will appoint the judges. So after JSC recommended 40 names to President Uhuru Kenyatta, he appointed 34 and 6 were returned. Amongst the 6 that were returned were some of the judges that, according to President Uhuru Kenyatta, had, of course, were supposed to be promoted to different courts, and many of them, like George Odunga, was perceived to be pro-NASA in the run-up to 2017 general election. And the president was highly criticized that he was trying to cripple the judiciary in the spirit of we will revisit in 2017 after the notification of the presidential results. And this had been here for some time because at the time Maraga was leaving judiciary, there was a bad blood between Maraga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. And this can be traced back to the notification of the presidential results in 2017. But remember, as we hear towards the general election, we are less than 30 days. I think we are almost 20 days, the 20. So almost 19 days to the general election. The president has appointed these judges. And I see this in the spirit of just clearing, and just trying to do clearance. Some of the things that are still that still have backlog in his desk, he's just trying to do some sort of clearance. But there is more to this because it is not a coincidence that is happening at this time. This issue of the judges also came to the limelight last year, 2 weeks after Martha Koome was appointed, or rather was selected as the Chief Justice. And Martha Koome took on President Uhuru Kenyatta by saying that he was going to initiate diplomatic relations with the office of the presidency, or rather with the executive, so that the judges will be approved. And on that, it was just going to make sure that it would help to reduce the backlog of cases in the judiciary. But as that was going on, things still did not work. And even 1 year after Martha Koome was appointed in judiciary, I think those negotiations did not yield much of the fruit. Because the truth of the matter here is there was a strained relationship between Maraga and President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The bill, again, I remember during the 58th Madaraka Day, I think Jamhuri Day, the president took a swipe at the judiciary for what he termed as subverting the will of the people through the BBI. So another aspect that again brought in the strained relationship with the executive was the issue of the BBI. But as you can see, the issue about judiciary, legislature, and executive have come to play out in this general election. And I think it is something that in the spirit of transition, or rather continuity, there is something that President Uhuru Kenyatta seems to be now willing to address. And the truth be told, the president is very close with Martha Koome compared to Maraga. And if one of the things that you can point out is during the time where there was a multi-agency task force that was formed to oversee on issues of election preparedness, Martha Koome was appointed to head that team. And when IBC decided to run away, or rather to exempt themselves from it, Martha Koome took a direct swipe at IBC that the issue about election was not a one agency thing, but it needed a universal, or rather a collective responsibility of different agencies of government. And so this has been here with us for some time. Before we try to put this in the political radar, I just want to ask a question. How do you think IBC, or rather how do you think the judiciary has carried out themselves or their input as far as election preparedness is concerned? Trying to fast track the cases about aspirants, even though some are still dragging in court, and trying to pass some maybe laws that may be favoring IBC, the others are favoring UDA, the others are favoring Azimio la Umoja, and also their kind of pronouncement in this election, because this appointment is directly concerned, or rather is directly having an impact on the role of judiciary in this election. And someone should try to answer that question. What is the role of judiciary in this election? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to humbly request you to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and also like our video. When you like our video, you are also promoting this channel. In one of my videos in this channel, I once analyzed that the president has an element of continuity. That from where President Uhuru Kenyatta is seated, he seems to have made his mind and knows who exactly is going to inherit the seat. And he's not working retrogressive. He seems to make decisions with an element of continuity. And what I can see here is the executive is becoming very close, and there is a lot of coziness with the judiciary, and the executive is also very close with the military, even though I wouldn't want us to get there. And this can be very strategic, because in the next dispensation, there is a high likelihood that legislature may not be, the strength in legislature may not favor the government of the day. There is a high likelihood that whoever is going to form government might not have strength in the National Assembly. And the president seems to have realized that Deputy President William Ruto is going to have more strength and can easily paralyze the government in the National Assembly. And this is here with us for some time. So one of the things that Raila Odinga again must then do is to make sure, if he forms government, is to make sure that at least it is, even if you have executive, you cannot have all the three arms together with you. But if legislature is not on your side, or rather, let me say you have less influence in legislature, you must have at least a listening ear in the judiciary. There must be some balancing between those three arms of government. Now, just in the wake of that, I want to point out to something in this country. The Kenyatta University land saga really eaten on President Uhuru Kenyatta. And of course, what happened is the cabinet passed, I think, a resolution for the Kenyatta University to cede part of their land for the construction of, I think, a hub by the UN, a health hub by the World Health Organization. And I think part of the land was also going to be used to settle some squatters, according to what I understand. And the university, in defense of their, I think, 10-year plan, decided not to act on that, and is saying that the university council seems to have the liberty, or rather the luxury, of declining the plea from the cabinet. And I think the president and the team became so annoyed that a cabinet made a resolution, but a council of a university would overturn that. Now, as we talk now, the Kenyatta University land saga seems to have escalated to the courts. And you will see Nelson Harvey being contracted by the university to defend the university from what they called as state harassment. Now, I see the president is very strategic with this. And these are some of the reasons why I say that even if you don't have legislature with you, you should always have the judiciary. If the judiciary is going to pass a resolution, I see President going cozy with the Martha Koome wing, so that in the light of such arguments, or rather such cases, or public litigation against the office of the presidency, he can go. And I want to say this strategic because there is this narrative by the Kenya Kwanza team that they are going to form a quasi-judicial team if they form government to question and challenge and indirectly probe President Uhuru Kenyatta. So what the president is simply trying to do, he's trying to get his soldiers in the place, and by then that's why the president has been trying to make one appointments one after the other, so that in case there will be a public litigation against the office of the president, whether the president Uhuru Kenyatta is getting closeness to the president, whether Raila wins or not. If Raila wins, well and good. Or even if Raila wins, still the opposition can still do public litigation against the office of the president. Or whether deputy president wins and tries to make public litigation against the office of the president. I think Uhuru Kenyatta is trying to get a cover and a cushion on public litigation that can be meted on that office when he leaves. And I took the Kenyatta University land saga as one of the case study for this. There have been a lot that maybe will be challenged, because if you listen to the whole idea about the state capture by the Kenya Kwanza team, it's totally different concept with what the Azimio team believes in. The Azimio team believes that the state capture is more of corruption cartels that are now paralyzing operations at different levels of government. But Kenya Kwanza team seems to have a belief that state capture is the fact that a lot of corruption is centralized, the fight against corruption is centralized at the button of the presidency of President Uhuru Kenyatta, or rather the signature of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, I think the president seems to be working in favor of Raila Odinga by downsizing the state capture narrative. Because at the tail end of that state capture narrative, the story of the judges comes in. So when the judges state capture through the judges that the president has not, and this has been so relational with the middle class, because the middle class are the people that understand that the presidents on how appointment of judges are. So this is something that confirms the issue of the state capture, that the president had literally refused in his personal capacity to appoint those judges. So he wanted to downsize that narrative. The same with the Unga. And on the Unga, my opinion might be biased, but this is the truth. That whether Unga was down, the price was downsized, or rather the price was reduced for political benefit, but all Kenyans, whether Azimio or whether William Ruto, kila mtu anabai unga at 100 shillings. Now, I lastly see that the presidential contest, illegitimacy of the presidency after this election might not be at the center of President Uhuru Kenyatta's coziness with Martha Koome. That, as after August 9th, there is a high possibility that maybe Azimio of President Uhuru Kenyatta or Deputy President William Ruto side Kenya Kwanza might head to court to challenge the results. And because of that litigation sitting somewhere around the corridors, the president might have been coming up with a strategy to make sure that he's in good mix with these fellas. Because, again, if they go to this election and president have direct interest in the Raila Odinga's regime, and Raila wins the president, someone is going to court, you never know. Yes, the same thing happened in the BBI, they can still go through the same fate. And so I want to understand that perhaps president is just trying to lay everything right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my bold take on the appointment, the strategic appointment of these judges. And this is not to demystify the fact that these judges are qualified. Of course, the qualification is there. And now, the names were supposed to be taken to JSC. I don't know whether that happened, but the truth of the matter, there was political undertones in that judges saga.